Hello one and all, welcome back, welcome to the shed. Today we're going to be doing something slightly different. We're looking at a job we did, 10 days ago? Yes, really recently, for Marvel called Absolute Carnage. It's a motion comic, it goes on their website and it goes on YouTube and goes various other digital places. And they use motion comics to try out new ideas, to support bigger brands, things like that. Motion comics have their root and their origins very much in the comic side of Marvel rather than on the animation side. So it's not full television or film animation, but it's not just sort of a storyboard or an animatic. It's a really interesting place in between the two. And because this is sort of quicker, nimbler, less expensive to produce, it means that they can try stuff out. And that means I can try stuff out, because if you're working on a sort of a larger TV show, you don't get quite so much room to do things really differently. But often the characters in here, like Carnage, are not the mainstream characters. And so you go, okay, how can we do this and make it a bit different? So we did a whole load of things called Marvel Rising, which included a whole load of new characters who were really interesting. Again, that gave us a lot of opportunity to try new ideas and new approaches to the Marvel superhero universe. So Carnage is very much on the blood and guts side of the universe. It's quite, the graphic style of it is very much more comic than animation. And it is kind of, therefore, the score is pretty much like contemporary horror, which is how I went at it, really. So it doesn't have a big theme, but it does have quite a distinctive little tune to it. Now, when I say contemporary horror, what we're going to do is, look, this is the project here. So these are just the tracks I'm using. So out of my 1,300 tracks, I'm only using whatever it is. It still says 400. It doesn't look like 400 to me. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But look, there's it's a combination of acoustic, orchestral stuff, and electronic effects, and sort of slightly weird stuff in between the two. So it's hybrid, and we are using. Okay, let me just play you a bit, and I'll show you what I mean. Let's open it up. So this early bit down here, there's a layer. Okay, we're coming up for the main title. I'm not being able to show you any of the animation because obviously I would get my channel taken down, and that's not the best thing that could happen on a Monday morning. But there's a link underneath this, which will show you where you can see the finished product. So first of all, the title comes up. So it goes. So all we've got going on here is we've got three. So I've got three different bits of audio going on. One of them I made myself. One of them came from Juggernaut by Impact Soundworks, and one comes from Gravity by Heaviosity. Now, what I have done with what I quite like, if you listen, I quite like dragging things out until you hear things glitching a bit, and I've done that here too. And you can hear the riser sort of rumbling in the background. Now, quite an important part of this score, what I quite like, I got this detuned piano, which does this. It's not a tune, but it's really useful as a little motif, because we can do all kinds of things with it. It comes back quite a lot, and then I also do this pitch, that kind of thing. I really like this sound. I have no idea. So it's very simple, but it just, without giving it a tune, you don't. There's no room for a tune in a program like this. But you do want something which holds it together. So maybe you have a little sound designery idea, which Also, there's a lot of dialogue, so this will sit quite well, as you can hear now, under dialogue. Because somewhere, creeping around behind me, there could be somebody about to rip my head off. But you just listen. It doesn't need much more than that, just to give this sense of unease. We're not saying anything big and over the top. It just quiet. You're aware it's there, but the whole thing is quite. So on the string side, it would be really easy to go way over the top with all this and start hitting it with all kinds of ridiculous, sort of slightly cheesy horror sort of ideas. But what we've done, what I try to do, let me just turn the bits off I don't want to hear right now, is I've used a combination of things, mainly Spitfire Evo, because it's subtle. Hear that in the background? And I've got several layers of it. I've got some Olafur Arnolds and some of the Symphonic String Evo. And it just helps. You combine that with other stuff and it really, really, really works well. And I do have one or two more extreme string effects, which are largely taken from 8Dio's Cage, which have... And that one's I've bounced out so that I can play around with it. But this is just sort of sits in the background. So it's not the sort of big traditional discordant string things you sometimes hear. It's just... Anyway, so those are the kind of components. At some points in this film, there is sort of bits of action, big action. You can see it happening here. So that then it goes into its more traditional. Oh no, this isn't action. But it's got a bit more motivation to it. Okay, but underlying all this, and this is quite an important bit as well, is this synth pad, which I'll show you. It's not really a pad, it's a sort of low effect, but it combines really well with the strings. Look, before I go any further, I should just say, if this is the kind of thing which floats your boat, then push the little button and subscribe and do all that kind of thing, because actually we do this quite regularly. We do live things, we do product reviews, all kinds of stuff which would be interesting to you. So subscribe and then you'll get notified when it happens, okay? Hang on, let's listen to it. So let me just turn that up a bit so you can hear it properly. But I like this effect. The effect in question is this. Let me just turn the... This is using Massive X, the new version of Massive, which I like. It's good. If we get the track up, it's got... Okay, Tremulator. Here we go. This is the one. This is from Sound Toys. Now, the nice thing about this is... you can automate this so that you just drop the track into right, and then if you turn off the MIDI sync, so in other words, the tremulator or the LFO is not syncing to the pulse of the track, you can just turn it up. You can make it go wop, 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 wop. And if you drop the track into automation right record, it'll play it back. And so if you watch the LFO speed here, the depth is going up and down. So you see the way in which that gives you that movement, and it's quite subtle. And I've also got a bit of a filter going on here, and that's also automated as well. So it gets brighter and put some more res in there as well. Now, if you run that at the same time that you're running the string effects, for example, you get a very nice texture. What's that? Is there something outside? Is there somebody? Is there somebody there? Is there some? Oh, did I see a shape? Was it a person? Was it an animal? Is it something from another world? No, it wasn't. It was just me being silly. Sorry. So you see how all this starts a bit. It's quite straightforward, but anyway. Moving on. So we got all that going. One of the things I quite like when doing not horror. When doing these kind of horror things is actually. Every now and again, you want to give it a little bit of a breather, and you want to give it a sort of moment of where it kind of a bit of empathy, a bit of kind of emotion into it. So when the main character is saying he's having a really hard time being consumed by this ghastly. So just for a moment you feel sorry for him. Then his sort of alter ego character starts creeping out. Oh, shiver, shiver, shiver! And off you go again. But that bit there gives you contrast. If it's just non-stop suspense, it stops being suspenseful. So if you can drop it out and go to another feeling, either nothing or something which takes you a different place, then when you come back to your kind of it kind of feels a bit more type thing. Okay, so that's pretty much all there is to say about this one. That it's not particularly complicated, but one of the things worth mentioning about motion comics as opposed to fully animated television is sometimes moments of action need a bit more help, because if they're not fully animated, the music's going to have to do a little bit more of the heavy lifting in terms of the storytelling. So you do sometimes have to be a bit more on the nose than you would be with normal film or television. But all that said, it's a really, really effective way of getting ideas out there to engage with the fans and all the rest of it. And I have a lovely time doing these things. I absolutely love it. It's really good. Does not take particularly long. It allows me to have a new idea, and I come away with a piece of music which I'm perfectly happy with, having, enjoyed myself. And that really is what this job is all about, is having, getting to the end of the week and thinking, oh yeah, I really like that thing I wrote earlier, that kind of thing. Look, anyway, so that's all there is for this for today. I mean, it's a fairly straightforward little video deconstructing a fairly simple little thing. If this goes down well, then obviously I can deconstruct many more of my bits of work which flow through the shed in the sort of the river of work over the years. But look, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, remember to subscribe, and then I will leap out of a screen at you in the very near future with more useful stuff. And also remember that below this, without any shadow of doubt, there will be some kind of free thing which you can download to help you write film scores better or help your orchestration. We've got a whole range of free things which you might like. So look underneath this, and if you've enjoyed this, leave me a comment and tell me why you've enjoyed it. If you haven't enjoyed it, leave me a comment and say, nah, because you're irritating or something like that. I'm fine with that. Just let me know, etc. Anyway, for the time being, thanks very much for your company, and see you again very soon.